welcome back once again to East Texas Now. I am your host, Jeremy Butler, and now we are joined here on the show by Miss Marva Vaylor. Marva, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jeremy.
Thanks for joining us here on the show. So we're talking about today this new announcement from Paul McCartney, who has managed to get a new recording of the Beatles together for release this year using AI. So talk about, first of all, just the technology side of things and how he's managed to make this happen.
This is so exciting. It's really bringing the now and then to now. So Paul McCartney is really embracing, so he's reached his 80th birthday, and he is embracing AI technology to take an old crackly recording from years ago, and he's cleaning it up and being able to put it into new content and get it out to a very wide audience.
So talk about just, I guess, the process on that, because, I mean, we saw this happen before back in the 90s with the anthology release, and the John Lennon songs Free as a Bird and Real Love were released. And they were enhanced, they were cleaned up, they were restored from old demo recordings, but they weren't done so by using AI. So how is this new recording different from those previous ones?
Yeah, so AI actually is learning John Lennon's voice. And they took different pieces from his old recordings, and they're actually using his voice to create new content. And that's really what the difference is. And that's really what AI does. So AI is learning, we're giving it information, and then it's able to produce something, again, with human intervention and human ideas.
So I guess the question becomes now, there's some implications about that, right? And, the Beatles famously broke up a long time ago. There was a big dissolution between John and Paul, and their partnership ended, it dissolved. And of course, George Harrison's dead as well. So this leaves Paul and Ringo, the last two members of the Beatles, alive. So what are the implications of Paul taking it upon himself to do this without any sort of guidance, permission from the voices that'll be on this recording?
Yeah, so that brings up a lot of great questions, Jeremy. Now, the great news is we do have some very well-established privacy and trademark laws, and specifically actually in Texas. So it does vary by state around if someone has already passed and how the rights pass on. But in Texas, the rights do pass on. So there's actually added protection even in the state of Texas. But he has a great group of lawyers. And if you think about it, to put together any musical performance, like let's use the Michael Jackson hologram, that cost over $500,000. It took them a year. And you have choreography, you have dancers, you have musicians. So all together, it's not just the person, it's actually a performance. So all of that is taken care of by great patent and trademark lawyers.
So now this song is coming from an old demo recording that Lennon did at his house, basically, a piano and a microphone. Will this be a full Beatles band recording or just a John Lennon recording being released by Paul McCartney later?
Well, I think that's going to be the magical mystery tour that we don't know, because that's what's so great about this announcement. We don't know. We don't know the name of the song. We don't know the venue. And that's where it might get super creative. And that's where artists, they're deciding to have it, one person with a mic or in some new world that we've never even thought of. So that's going to be the magical mystery tour.
And I guess the final question that I have is, with regard to this particular demo, of course, they've tried to, if it is what's expected to be a song called Now and Then, they tried to record it back in the 90s with the anthology release, and George Harrison didn't want to do it, he didn't like it at all. So are they taking, if it is that song, do we know if they're taking like those previous recordings or starting from scratch with a new recording at all?
I think it is going to be up to the creatives. And I'm sure with every song, I think you've heard about this, where people work on things for years and days and months. And literally, this on live news, 5 minutes before somebody makes a decision. And that's what's so great about the creative process.
Well, now speaking of, let's talk about just some more of the bigger picture outside of this particular recording. We've seen people, that they've released, songs from Drake that aren't from Drake at all, like they're synthesizing his voice. Now this whole John Lennon thing's happening. So, what is the impact on the industry as a whole, kind of going forward with this stuff?
Yeah, so these situations are actually two polar opposites, and it's really great that we do have these two comparisons because the law is going to come after what this movement of AI is. So the laws, we're looking probably 3 to 4 years out. So what we saw with Drake, that was called a deep fake. What we're doing with this project with Paul McCartney, this is a creative using AI literally as an instrument. Think of it as a guitar or a piano or a drum. So what I thought was really interesting is there's a campaign that started from South by Southwest this year with 70 different constituents around really AI. And I really think that this campaign where they're getting, so, it's not just artists. Now we also have professional athletes that also have challenges with people using their likeness. And it's not just their likeness, it's their voice, their signature, so all these things are trademarked by our laws.
So, I mean, is this, it's kind of a subjective question, but is this a good thing going forward?
Well, I'll leave you with a quote that actually Paul McCartney himself said. He said, "It's scary, but it's also exciting at the same time." And he literally said, "We're just going to have to see because this is the future." And that really is what we all are going to have to say. We're just going to have to see.
Now, one more kind of a big picture question. We hear about, AI in terms of like Chat GPT that helps people, with like writing prompts in essays or articles or what have you. And of course, this is more like generative content creation, like, audio creation, basically. So is this the same type of AI, or is there different uses or different versions of it for different applications?
So specific to music, they're using AI to actually, like I said, think of it as an instrument. But other creative uses of AI are, what if you have a great idea, but you don't know how to compose a symphony for an orchestra to actually play? So that would be a really great example. So a prompt could actually help you. Is it going to write the whole thing? No, but it's going to get you about 50% there. So ultimately, it actually could help with the creative process because it's going to bring more people to areas that they would have never had access to all of these professional sound writers and musicians and all these composers. So that's one area of AI that's really, I think, going to help the music area.
Okay, well, Marva, big thanks, of course, for your insight, and we look forward to seeing how this thing plays out with this song, of course, the industry as a whole, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, let it be.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.